So the first thing we should define is the consumption choice set. So consumption choice set. And this is the set of, all combinations, or the collection of all possible combinations of goods that's available to the consumer. And so what this is constrained by is things like money and time and things like that. So the resources that the consumer has access to. So it's the collection of all possible consumption choices available to the consumer. And so it's constrained by resources. By time, money is, or income is maybe what we'll concentrate on a lot, but there's some kind of constraint on their choices. They can't kind of have an infinite amount of, any good they want. What we're going to call a consumption bundle is a particular combination of goods. So for instance, we're going to define, let's say, a consumption bundle X equals X1. You can think of it as a vector or just some set where we have, X1 units of good 1 and X2 units of good 2. So a particular consumption bundle we can call, capital X. And that consists of, if we just have two goods that we're choosing between, some number, we're going to leave it as general as possible here, so X1 number or amount of good 1 and X2 amount of good 2. So this is if we just had, two goods. We can also think of, so maybe I'll say that in brackets. And as I'm going to say in a few minutes, oftentimes we're going to limit our examination to just two goods, and that's going to be kind of easier to handle, and it kind of doesn't lose that much generality. But we can also think of, expanding this to lots of different numbers of goods. If we want to make it really general, we can think of a consumption bundle for the case of n goods. So n is just some number. It could be 5, 10. We can just allow this to be really general. As I said, usually 2 is going to be enough, and it's going to be nice for graphs. I can only draw 2D graphs. I'm not very good at drawing 3D graphs. And so a lot of times 2 goods is going to be enough, but we should remember that we could expand this to many, many goods. So then we have, now X, or capital X, is going to represent some consumption bundle which has X1 units of good 1, X2 of good 2, X3 of good 3, and all the way up to Xn of good n. So that's what a consumption bundle is, a particular amount of all the goods that consumers are choosing between. And these goods usually have prices. And so again, we can think of commodity prices in the same way of consumption bundles, in a sense, in terms of how we're going to represent them. So if we wanted commodity prices for 2 goods, we could say capital P equals P1 and P2, where P1 is the price of good 1 and P2 is the price of good 2. And again, this is just for 2 goods, kind of corresponding to this first consumption bundle. So this is the price of good 1. Hopefully it's not too messy here. And this is the price of good 2. So this is again just for two goods. So I'm not running out of room down here. But we could do commodity prices for, I guess I reversed the colors, which wasn't smart, but commodity prices for N goods. This is an N. I don't know how easy it is to kind of see the lettering. Where we could do the same thing, we could represent it with a capital P and, you know, corresponds to maybe this consumption bundle or this kind of situation where we have N goods, and each of these goods is going to have a price. So P1 is the price of good 1, P2 is the price of good 2, P3 is the price of good 3, all the way up to Pn, which is the price of good n. We're just kind of leaving that as general as possible. As I said, you know, a lot of times we're just going to concentrate on kind of two goods, but it's important to realize we can expand it to any number of goods.